Ahoy hoy, I'm Pavo.
And I'm Neil.
And welcome to That's No Moon.
It's a podcast.
It's your weekly digest of all the Star Wars news you need to know. And our apologies, we didn't have a show last week. Unfortunately, I had a bit of illy pops. I wasn't feeling very well.
Isn't that where Gulliver's Travels was set?
I don't know.
Illy pops.
No, that was Lilliput.
Oh.
But anyway, Neil is here with his trusty hand on the Google internets, ready with all of the news
from the last 2 weeks, shall I say? Because I've got stories that were from last week.
It's not going to be all, is it? Because that's just going to be too much news.
No, but there's a couple of stories that would have been from last week that I do want to touch base with on this week.
Touch your bases.
Starting with that it's rumoured
there
will be an end sting at the end of The Last Jedi, in tribute to Carrie Fisher, according to Star Wars World. Now, if this is the case, that will be the first ever credit sting in Star Wars history. Now, how do you feel about that?
I don't think there will be.
I just think it'll be in memory of that sort of thing.
I don't think... I really don't think there will be.
Because what would be the sting? I mean, it would only just be like a montage of her, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but it's something that can be... They could drop that online. I don't see any reason why... because... I think there's still going to be something in the storyline with Princess Leia in Episode 9.
Well, there's got to be, you would hope, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, and they say that that she is going to have some, that it's been rumoured some part in Episode 9. I don't know. I don't want them to mess about with the format. It's the same as, because one of the biggest things I really liked Rogue One, but one of the biggest things that I thought was just took me out of the movie is the opening, is the start.
You never had a crawl, you mean?
Yeah, because it just goes duh, and then and then when it comes in with what they say is the Rogue One theme, it just felt like it was like Buck Rogers in the 25th century in the 80s. Really? Yeah, it just came in with that sort of after the this what you want to call it, a cold open if you want. It just didn't work for me.
Right.
I want to see the whole, even now. Especially with The Force Awakens, it is that second before Star Wars shines up on the screen. And it's that, the C sharp or whatever it is, C flat, whatever it is. It still sends goosebumps.
Yeah, it's...
And I remember when we went and saw The Force Awakens for the first time. We went and saw it.
We didn't see A Force Awakens because you went to the midnight, but unfortunately I couldn't go.
But when I went, I think, the three of us went. We did, went Loz, didn't we? And I closed my eyes at that moment because it was such a magical moment. Just that split second of when the music starts. And you've got that, it is that long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and then that silence.
Yeah.
And then it's just that moment when it bursts onto the screen.
See, I know what you mean. I always get it when the Lucasfilm, you get it would have been the 20th century fanfare, but then you get the Lucasfilm come up. That's when I automatically feel, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Star Wars is here.
And I think that's why the start of Rogue One, if anything, that movie was one of any of the movies of Star Wars, that was the movie that needed a crawl. It needed to people that aren't massive Star Wars fans to just let them know exactly what's going on and where this movie is. So it was weird that there wasn't a crawl. I can understand the thinking of it, that for standalone movies, they're not going to put a crawl. Yeah, that was a movie that needed it, I think. But anyway, that's a whole completely different thing.
But to put a sting on the end, doesn't need to, does it?
No, it's the same as
you just need that nice little, maybe when the film finishes, you just put in memory of Carrie Fisher.
Yeah,
right
absolutely.
It's
the first thing,
as the very first thing, and I think that would just be enough.
Yeah, I also think, because, from what we know, this movie, The Last Jedi, picks up exactly where The Force Awakens finished. And then they're saying that then probably it's going to go like 6 months later or a year later. I can't... Again, Star Wars doesn't do that.
No.
They don't sort of fly off into time. It's going to be really weird. It's going to be very interesting to see how they start this movie. Because in tradition, the movie finishes and then the camera either pans down or pans up to a starfield. And
I still think they'll do it.
I think they will, because I think it may start with Kylo Ren.
Yeah, shooting off
and going to Snoke. and then it'll go to
back to
So, but I mean, look,
Act 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm really finding interesting. Is right from the start, I'm going to be. How are they going to do this? How are they following it?
Well, they're obviously fitting a lot in because they've already said it's going to be the longest Star Wars film ever. So,
and I think it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. So next was obviously people listening to this have already probably seen it, but I did want to talk about it. Was the new international trailer for The Last Jedi. And now it looks like it looks as if it's just a blend of the first teaser trailer and the full trailer with a couple of extra shots. Now these shots, we get a good look at C-3PO
for the first time.
Then we also get another shot of Rey in the cave that we saw Luke in at the end of the last trailer.
Indeed.
And then there was a shot of BB-8 poking his head round the corner again. Not flicking the bird.
No.
And then there's also been a new international poster that's dropped as well. So what did you think of that footage when you saw the international trailer?
Yeah, there wasn't... I was a little bit disappointed because the international trailer for The Force Awakens was really different and had some really... the shot of Kylo Ren swinging his lightsaber to like just missing Rey and stuff. I thought, oh my god, So there wasn't really any moments in that trailer that was like that.
No, not in the sort of memorable moments. I just thought it was really nice to see C-3PO.
Yeah. I mean, look. To be fair, I'm not a massive C-3PO fan, if you like. In as opposed to all the droids. I prefer BB-8 to C-3PO without a doubt.
Yeah, he's a lot more fun, isn't he?
Yeah. In regards to the poster, there's been a couple of variants of that poster. I don't know if you've seen that. There's one because the one is with Rey at the back, and then there's one with Luke at the back.
Yeah, and then people are now talking that the villain always goes to the back.
I was looking, and you'll see it up on the screen if you're watching the YouTube video of this. That I put the Star Wars Empire and Jedi posters up, and they've all got Vader in the back.
Yeah,
and I think even the Force Awakens poster had Kylo Ren sort of in the back with Rey. I think they're playing on that a little bit. I think they're playing on that because they know that people are thinking that does Rey go to the dark side. I think they are playing with that a little bit.
Yeah, of course they are.
I mean, it is possible that any of them could be part of the dark side.
Absolutely. I don't think Finn and Poe are.
No. But I think they're a separate story thread.
Well, yeah.
I think
that links to.
Well, it will. Yeah, but I think it's going to be the same as. I'm not going to say that they're copying it, but the same as like Return of the Jedi and Empire. You will have 2 or 3 different, like each group will be.
Whereas, like in Empire, you had Han Solo's story and then Luke's story.
Yeah, but then they do mingle and stuff like that. But I think it's going to be this. I think Poe and Finn are going to be off doing whatever they're going to be doing. Rey and Luke are going to be off doing whatever they're going to be doing, and I'm pretty sure they will join up. How? Again, we don't know.
It's interesting. Well, we will do soon.
Yeah, 36 days to go.
But that leads nicely on to that. I just want to mention that obviously the TV spot has dropped now, a new TV spot.
Right. Now that was more earth-shattering than the international trailer.
There was a lot in that was new. But the one bit that I wanted to talk about particularly to you is Luke on the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Where he activates the Millennium Falcon when he comes on. Now, the first time I watched that, and I've watched it obviously a few times since, but the first time I watched that, is it me or did he look shifty? Do you know what I mean by that?
I know. I can see what you're saying, but I think now, see, because I was thinking about this and thinking about the fact that he must have. Let me start again. When Han Solo died, obviously in the film they showed Leia, and Leia obviously through the Force felt that Luke that Han had died.
So Luke
and sort of collapsed, sort of almost, just doubled up in agony and sadness. So you've got to think that Luke felt the same thing as well. I'm assuming that he must have done.
Well, he must have known because he would have felt Leia's feelings, if you know what I mean, at the very least, wouldn't
that's
it?
What I mean, it's not shown.
No.
And we don't know that Luke even knows. But I'm assuming that because But then if he has maybe pushed the Force away, would he feel it? And I don't know whether or not... the way I looked at it was that he has gone onto the bridge of, or the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon for the first time in 30 years or whatever, and maybe the feelings are coming back. And so because he's in Han's world, he gets the feeling, and he's getting all of these visions or feelings, and he knows that it's Kylo Ren that has done it. And then he's thinking, then maybe he's feeling shifty because he's feeling guilty because he created Kylo Ren because he couldn't train him properly. This is all complete gumph and bluff. But
I mean, I didn't feel it when you rewatch it a few more times. To me, I started to think, well, is he just going on there and reminiscing? Is he thinking?
So do you mean shifty as in like he's gonna steal it?
Well, not that. It just looks like he's up to something.
Right. Okay.
I don't quite know how to put the only word I could think of was shifty, because he looked sort of like he was up to no good, almost.
Yeah, no, I think I'm looking at it the fact that if you think of the last time that he was in the Millennium Falcon, he was there with Leia and with Han. And he hasn't seen Leia for 30 years, we're assuming.
Yeah.
Or however long it is. It's going to be a certain amount of time. He again, I assume he knows that Han has died, so he hasn't had a chance to say goodbye or anything to one of his best friends. It's you again. I mean,
they play it so well. They edit it so well that you can change whatever you see of it. Like I said, it almost looked after a few more watches that he was walking on there and thinking, I haven't been here in a long time. Yeah. And then you get to that stage, but it was just my very first reaction was like, whoa, that looks a bit shifty.
Yeah, I think it's more the fact that he's. I mean, that however long it is, 5-second clip in the trailer is there for effect. So the lights come up and you're going, oh my God, it's Luke in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. What context it is, it could be one of those things that isn't even going to be in the movie. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those moments where they might just cut that little bit out because they didn't need it.
I hope not.
I hope not.
No,
I think it's going to be great. I mean, we'll probably go on to it from what Mark Hamill was saying in regards to sort of where Luke is at this point, but I think it's very interesting.
So that does move on to Mark Hamill, has been talking to Disney Rewards magazine. I've not heard of this magazine before, but obviously it's a Disney official one.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to read through this. A lot of speculation continues to swirl around about what is going on with Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. As more and more promotional material comes out, it appears to pit him on both the light and the dark side. In an interview with the Disney Rewards magazine, Hamill gives his take on Luke's mentality in the upcoming sagas. So Mark Hamill dishes out on Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi, in addition to answering the looming question about speculating Luke could turn into the dark side. So we have to remember this is an official Disney thing, so I was reading this, so it's not going to give you too much away, which is what I asked you earlier on, because I didn't want to know about spoilers, so don't worry if you're listening to this, there isn't too many. So, right, just bear with me one sec. I've lost it. So Luke then was asked about the dark side in The Last Jedi.
Mark.
Mark. Mark was asked, and he was put this. Luke has been described as dark in this film, would you agree? And he said, in Star Wars, The Force Awakens, Luke has lost confidence in his ability to make good choices. It haunts him to the core, but he hasn't gone to the dark side. There isn't an evil version of him, but it's still an incarnation of the character I never expected. It's pulled me out of my comfort zone. It's a real challenge. So... I mean, there's a lot on this.
A lot of that is going to be it's going to be context. I mean, people are going to read that and then say, right, okay, he's not going to the dark side.
But then, yeah, I mean, it's very pragmatic, isn't it? It's very much like what, read into that what you will. Yeah. It's a very staid answer. But the answer that he gave to the next question was, I found quite interesting. In the trailers, we hear Luke say, it's time for the Jedi to end. What was your reaction when you first read that line in the script? And then Mark replied, I'm sure this line is a great shock to the audience, so you can imagine how I felt. This is a huge change for a character who once represented optimism and hope. It's a radical decision to drop out of everything he's ever believed in. The entire movie is filled with these kind of jaw-dropping surprises, but you'll just have to see the film itself to discover what they are. And now I like that. I think that's a very...
He's selling the movie. Not that anybody needs to sell the movie, but I think he's reining himself in a little bit in regards to what he's been like in the past.
But also, he's doing it very clever in getting people to speculate whether he's gone dark or whether he's light. And I just, So, I mean, there is a lot in this interview. And I will say you can go on many websites and read the full transcript. You can go on to StarWars.net.
StarWarsNews.net.
Yeah, StarWarsNews.net. There's even Esquire magazine have printed the whole scripture of it. I would recommend reading it now that I've been brave enough to read it.
Yeah, but it's not spoilers. It's because it's his.
But when I opened it, just to say, it does say on the top of the article on StarWarsNews.net contains spoilers. Don't be afraid to go down because that's what stopped me. Yeah,
but it's again in context, isn't it? I mean, he's saying that he's not going to go to the dark side. Okay, I mean, I didn't think he was going to go to the dark side anyway because it wouldn't make any sense.
No,
he would maybe give up being a Jedi. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to go to the dark side.
He's given up being a Jedi. He almost spoke about. You almost know why because of from the first movie.
He just walks away.
Yeah.
But
because of what happened.
I'm fascinated to know what happens with Luke.
I'm definitely convinced you're going to see quite a bit of flashback.
Yeah, possibly. But it's also I mean, after the second trailer, if you like, after the first main trailer. Where I was thinking, we're going to see Luke and he's going to kick ass and he's going to, he's going to get his lightsaber out and he's going to... And then when you see that trailer, he looks like a broken man.
He does.
And which then makes sense of the fact that when they first said that, I think it might have been Daisy Ridley that said, she meets Luke and she's disappointed. It's like, you don't meet your heroes. And you can understand that he's not necessarily jaded, but he's broken by the fact that he could possibly have created another Darth Vader, and he doesn't want anything to do with it. As soon as he sees that Rey is this powerful, he just wants to go, no way, I've seen this before. I don't want to be involved, which is then going to push her away instead of, helping her and stuff. I mean, it's like it is that scene in I don't know if it's the international trailer or the TV spot when he says that line, he says, isn't going to end the way you think it's going to end, or whatever that line was, and then it cuts then to Rey holding the lightsaber up, and people are going, "Oh my god, they're fighting!" It doesn't.
No, it's clever editing.
That looks to me like there's something that happens on Acto or whatever it is, and they get away from it, and then Luke is saying to Rey, this isn't going to end how you think, and she grabs the lightsaber and says, "Well, I don't care. I'm going to go and fight." It's not that she's going to attack him. It's that she's going to go, and he's trying to say to him, "Well, no, don't." That's what I think, anyway.
Yeah, well, I think you were quite right. And a couple of weeks ago, do you remember we spoke about well, actually, when we did the trailer, I think you're quite right that I think the Knights of Ren are going to turn up.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to.
No, I think that's who turns out because they're the people that. Obviously, and well, again, it's still summarising, but when you see the flashback of them in the Force Awakens and all of that, I think they're the ones that have destroyed the temple, haven't they?
Yeah, but I mean, I go along with a few different podcasts that I've listened to. That the vision that Rey has when she touches the lightsaber, I don't think all of that is flashback. I think some of that is stuff that's in the future.
Okay.
And that scene where it's the Knights of Ren and it's raining and all that, I think that's from the future.
Right.
I think that there's... Whether or not that's in The Last Jedi or whether that's something else that we don't see, that's what I think. I think that's Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren, and that is something to do with something that happens in the future. I don't know what. I just got a funny feeling. But the other thing, I also feel that Kylo Ren isn't going to be wearing his mask very much in this movie. because he smashes it. I think I think that's near the start. I think he's guilty of
his father's death.
Yeah, and so he doesn't want anything to do with that mask. He doesn't need it, and that's why he smashes it. And I don't think you'll see him with a mask for the rest of the movie.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting thought.
I don't think so.
I think it's quite plausible. That's why he breaks the helmet.
Yeah.
Right, so then moving on to the next story. Kathleen Kennedy has been talking about the planning of the next decade in the Star Wars universe. Talking to the Star Wars show, she said, "We're sitting down now, we're talking about the next 10 years of Star Wars stories, and we're looking at narratively where they might go." She said, "Future stories beyond Episode 9 with these new characters, Rey, Poe, Finn, BB-8, but we're also looking at working with people that are interested in coming into the Star Wars world and taking it to places that we have been to yet. Sorry. And that's exciting too, because in the vast galaxy far, far away, the possibilities are endless. With The Last Jedi imminent and the Han Solo movie next, followed by Episode 9 and the Obi-Wan film in development, there has now also been talk of a Boba Fett movie and a Jabba the Hutt movie. With this all coming 10 years, it's exciting times ahead." Did you watch the interview?
I haven't seen it yet, no.
No, I read the transcript of it. I haven't watched it. But it's nice to see they've got a clear vision of 10 years ahead rather than just... Because the reason I say this is because they sort of said when this new trilogy is ended, there won't be one for a while and they don't know where they're going. But it sounds to me like they are planning it now and it's got a clear direction of where it's going to go.
Yeah, or maybe they'll just...
Carry on?
Or they might have, like, Poe in a standalone movie. Or those characters turn up in a standalone movie. They don't necessarily need to be another trilogy. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if there wasn't another saga movie in those 10 years after Episode 9. But then that's the gap that they give them. They can still have a Star Wars movie every year. You know, I mean, I'm pretty sure that I'd be very, very surprised if the Han Solo movie doesn't have a sequel. It isn't just a one-off.
Well, there's a lot to put in one movie, isn't it? It wouldn't. I don't know. I mean, it depends on the success of it, doesn't it?
Yeah, or either that, or if they filmed it and they bring it up to the moment that he goes into the cantina on Tatooine, fair enough. Then you'd think, right, well then, you know. But then you'd also think, depending on how young they start him, there's plenty of stories and adventures that I'm sure that him and Chewbacca have.
Well, it's like we said about the Obi-Wan. There's another character. To me, I can't see sat on Tatooine for all those years doing nothing.
No, there must be so much, you know, because, I mean, again, one of the not rumours, but one of the things that people have theorised is that Rey is Obi-Wan's granddaughter. You could have that whole thing about him finding love and having a kid, and, well, no, that wouldn't work, would it, if his granddaughter? That'd have to be... I don't know, but I think there's so much. They've got 19 years that they can work with.
Have they written in like the books and that world of Star Wars? Have they written much about Obi-Wan in between?
I don't think. Only that what was in the Clone Wars and things like that.
So between like Revenge of the Sith and To a New Hope, there's not much been done.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Apart from what was in Rebels. In Rebels, if people haven't, like the last season of Rebels. Old Obi-Wan from A New Hope was on Tatooine and had a final duel with Darth Maul, right? Which was short and sweet, but very powerful. It was and it was the Obi-Wan Kenobi from A New Hope, right? So with the grey short hair and the
was it quite a slow fight as well?
No, it wasn't. No, no. I mean, spoilers for anybody that hasn't seen it, but no, it was very quick.
All right.
But it was very powerful.
Yeah.
It was a very powerful scene. Because Maul had been searching for Obi-Wan Kenobi for a long time. And then finds him like in...
Because he's got the mechanical... I've not watched Rebels yet. He's got the mechanical legs, hasn't he?
Yeah, yeah. I've not seen all of them. I need to... As in, even Clone Wars, because it was Clone Wars that he came back on. But I really wish I could find... because they keep changing where they put it on in Sky and stuff. And
of course, a lot of the Disney stuff is now moved because they've got their own streaming service now.
Well, they will be having it. They haven't got it yet.
I thought it was up and running now.
No, that's not till 2019, I think.
Okay.
The actual streaming, their own, like a Netflix. Yeah, no, it's not going to be for another couple of years yet.
All right.
But they reckon that's going to be a big thing. But it's not yet. No.
All right. I thought it was up.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's my stories for this
Well, there
week.
you go. So that was a nice sort of... I
haven't got time to quiz you on Empire Strikes Back.
No, that's fine. We'll do that again.
We'll do that. That will be back where I quiz Pav on the next episode on the Star Wars.
Absolutely. So that's it.
Well, I just want to say, if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to either message us on Facebook, on email, pancast@live.com, on Twitter, you can find That's No Moon or Pancast.
Yeah. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment below. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, please come and subscribe, leave us a review, tell all your other Star Wars friends. And also we are on Patreon. We have some fantastic little pledge gifts to give away. You can come and, just for $1 a month, you can come and get your name on our Roll of Honour on our website,
which is a great thing to do.
And there's loads of other things there. So patreon.com/Pancast. And talking of that, Carrington Martin from the Real Dudes podcast very kindly pledged $2 a month. And because of that, he gets a shout out on one of our podcasts. So here you go, Carrington. He says they are an indie podcast covering indie games and nerd culture, and come and join them on their weekly antics. That's the Real Dudes podcast. Thank you, Carrington, for your support.
Fabulous.
So there you go. That's it for this week. We will see you again next week for some more Star Wars news on That's No Moon. It's a podcast. Oh, it's taking your lines.
That's all right. You can have it
So thank you very much, and may the Force be with you all.
Always. Hi, I'm Neil.
And I'm Pavo.
Hey. Are you tired of listening to generic, boring radio podcasts?
Boring.
That's good.
Want to put a bit of fun back in your Thursdays?
Fun. Good work, you were long. So why not join us and Kelly
and Jen
naturally
for an hour of sometimes NSFW fun
and frolics?
Could you mug a pug? That's the real question.
No, you can never mug a pug.
No?
You can mug one off. Including the UK top 10 movies.
Third highest grossing movie of the year. The year is...
Kelly's G-Spot.
Oh. Jen's Challenge. Jen, challenge.
And also featuring Barry Gibbs' health tips.
There's nothing on TV on Thursdays anymore, so come and entertain your ears.
You're funny.
With the Pancast Show. Phenomenal.
Check us out at pancast.co.uk, or you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or other podcast apps.
It's all right.